Hello and welcome to another episode of Behind the Lava Lava. My name is Ati Moore and I'm taking over this podcast. I have Mr. Tan with me, Mr. Milford, and our guest speaker, soon to be part of the cast, Mr. Sawai Thompson. This is another episode of Behind the Lava Lava where we take your everyday random subjects and we have a discussion about these random subjects. It may be hot topics off of the news or anything in general that we find interesting, and then we have a discussion amongst us Samoan men. All right, today's topic is we would like to discuss the word comfortable, basically the importance of how our families, our lives, and maybe yourself or your individual self throughout your life, and how comfortable you are with where you are at right now in your life. Mr. Tan, would you like to lead us in our topic today?
Yes, one thing that I want to bring out when being comfortable, especially in my life, to me, the word comfortable, when I apply it to my job, I can never stay comfortable in my job for over 3 years. For some reason, when I stay in a job for 3 years, I start to get bored of my job because at this point, I am not being challenged with my job responsibilities, and I feel like I've no more than, well, not no more, but at this point, there's nothing for me to learn. So I'm constantly applying for jobs that I feel that would be challenging to me, or a job that would pay me more than what I'm being paid today. And that's one aspect of being comfortable in work. And I've applied that aspect since I've gotten out of the Marine Corps. I've never stayed in a job for more than a year before, but in my current job, I've been in my current job for over 3 years and I'm getting very tired of it. So I'm trying to move on. And if you're one of my coworkers, they already know my frustration with my job, especially since I can't stay comfortable in my current position. And at home, being comfortable at home, that's something that I don't want to change. I don't like a lot of changes within my home, especially when something spontaneous happens, like going on trips or doing something that is outside my comfort zone, because I just like a regular schedule, like coming home, spending a little time with kids and the wife, and then going to sleep. I like to keep that cycle going, but we all know that we being married with families, that's never going to happen. So that's it for now.
Okay, so we're comfortable. Two things that comes to mind when I hear the word comfortable. One is the one that Michael Chan was talking about, your work environment and just your work, as to say. I'm not a fan of being content in the same spot. I'm a fan of moving up. I've always been that way, since I was a little kid, and I get bored easily, and I always ask questions. So that's why when I see or hear people talk about, oh, I'm very comfortable in my job, I'm like, okay, well. But then again, to each his own. I can't really speak on it, but I can speak for myself. To me, there's so much more out there than just being in the same spot. I feel like we can unlock so many things in this world if we were those kind of people that are always curious and always want to do better. Because the industry I'm in, a lot of people are very content. The automotive industry. People stay in the same spot. I'm going to tell you guys a story. I started off moving cars, pretty much a valet driver. People come in, I move their cars, park it. 6 months in doing that in a dealership at a Metro Honda, at a Honda dealership. I did not like it at all. And I always have it in the back of my mind, I'm so smart to be doing this. I always have that mentality. And I do that up until now. So 6 months in, I went and talked to my boss. I said, hey, is there a way that I can be the loop guys, change oils and all that stuff? He said, just go hang around them. If you have that downtime, go hang around with them, go learn. I did that. And then like 3 weeks later, after that first conversation, he said, I'm going to give you a shot because I feel like you deserve this shot. I said, okay. So I did it. 6 months in, I went and asked around about service advisor. And only the reason why I went and asked about that, because I like to take people out for lunch and they talk about, hey, how much do you make? And don't tell me the exact numbers, but how much can a person make becoming a service advisor? And they'll give me numbers like, hey, it can start from 60, 65 to 120, 200, 250. So then I'm like, oh, man. So a year since I've been to Loop Tech, I went and asked, hey, if you have an opportunity as a express service advisor, please let me know. I would like to try my hand. And he did. He gave it to me, and then ever since then, I became a service advisor in the service department of a dealership. So I went from Honda to Nissan to Volvo to where I'm at right now, Chevrolet. So make money, man. That's my thing. Make money. So my next stop, as long as God will have me on this earth, I want to be a service director. So that's my next stop. And I believe I have the mentality to do it, the attitude. So I just got to put in the experience a little bit to understand some of the management side of the industry. So that's just basically my story of comfortability. And then the second one is staying home, staying back in Samoa because you want to help out. I know it's a very delicate topic, but I like to speak my mind. So I feel like if you're that type of person that's going to stay home, use your parents as an excuse to not try and see the whole different side of the world from what we've already known in an island, I feel like you're wasting a lot of time. Because I can definitely tell you, when I left Samoa, I came out here, culture shock, bro. I was very shocked in so many ways. I felt like I just left planet Mars to come on Earth. Like I've never seen so many things, experienced so many things, hear so many things. So I feel like us talking about this topic, hopefully it'll inspire some of the kids back home listening in and just seeing us. We're the same kids from back home, from the rock. You know, we're still out here grinding, trying to get better and be better for the next generation to come.
Yeah, let me piggyback on that. So yeah, I'm right in line with Sawai too as well. For me, comfortable is like it's a double-edged sword. It could be beneficial to somebody that's content in their life. And then it could be a motivating factor for somebody that's still on the grind, still on the hustle. They always want to be always looking for the next step, whether it be in their job, whether it be in their relationship, whether it be just on that competitive edge. You know, if you're a sports athlete or if you're like somebody that just plays cards with your friends. For me, the people that really know me, and I mean the people that really know me from back home in American Samoa, whether it be friends, relatives, I've always been a competitive person. You know, I was never comfortable. Even from my high school years, I was never comfortable to be that person to stand around picking my nose and wait for somebody else to do things. I was always the first person in line. If there were drills in the football field, hey, I was that first person. Even though I knew that I had no idea of what was going on. But I did everything to make sure my name was still out there, make sure my name was still there, so that way I could get recognized. Some people, I wouldn't say some people, you know, I just say in general, they don't want to step to the opportunities because they fear that the backlash or fear that they can't do it. You know, for me, I guess it's a mentality thing. You gotta break the barriers in your mentality, in your individual, to come out of your comfort zone. So I kind of took that with me when I was young from a village, you know, called Malback Village or Sailili. Come in, try to put my name out there, you know, even though my last name is a small last name. But for all of us, our last name is everything. You know, you wanna carry that last name, and that last name represents your family, and it actually represents your parents. You know, so when we walk around, we're technically walking around with our family on our shoulders, and that's technically how I looked on myself when I was growing up in American Samoa, and then, brought myself to who I am here today. The word comfortable for me is a motivating word. I will always try to be a step ahead, even though that there's other people out there that's smarter, that's faster than me. But like what Sawai said, the last, somebody may be smarter than me, but I will find a way to gain an edge and hard work. That's where I pride myself in. Sometimes I get lazy. Like right now, I'll be honest. I'm at 370. I let myself go. It's not really necessarily letting myself go. It's just I'm at the point where I think I'm comfortable now. Your health to me right now, and that's where I'm now. I got to wake up again and reevaluate everything that I'm doing so far in the last year, considering COVID and all that. Now I got to wake up. Now you got, we're at the age where hypertension and, all the sickness is all kicking in now. I don't know about you guys, but, hypertensive, that's one of the things that we Samoans fight with on a daily basis. I'm not saying you guys have it, but it's there. Having been in a medical field, we Polynesians, we got tons of those type of sickness considering the food that we eat every other day. But with that, I try to wake up every day, find something that I know is going to challenge myself. And these days, it's been golf. Golf has been something that I just picked up the last year or two. And that's something that I started off for people that know golf. If you start off at a 30 handicap and you come down all the way to like a 12 or a 10 handicap, that means you've done pretty good for yourself for the last year or so, considering you just started playing golf. A little story in my family right now, my little brother, I took him over to Missouri. He had the opportunity to play football in Missouri. I'm not going to name his name, but he got to the point where he was too homesick, and now he's back home in American Samoa with my parents. And though I wanted big things for him, things that I wanted to lay out for him, but he made his choice, he made his decision, and now he's back in the comfort zone, so to speak. But good thing about it is only my parents are back home in American Samoa, and my sister, she graduated, she's back home, but my brother is back home now, and he's one of those hardworking guys now, helping out my parents. So I thank him for that, and that's his choice and his decision. Although I'm still giving him options of what he wants. If he decides one day he wants to come back out here and go back to school and whatnot, I'm always here. That's what we siblings try to do, especially if you're the oldest. Like I mentioned prior, I'm the oldest of 5, and I try to lead and guide my siblings to a better, brighter future in anything that we do. And then I hope, for that matter, that everybody else in the world tries to do the same thing. With that said, appreciate it. I know Milford, you had something to say?
All right, yeah. So I'm going to take a different direction and pose a question to you guys. But before I get into it, well, let me just start off with this. All three of you, like when in our military episode, I said it was a great first step. But all three of you set an example for your future generations, for your kids, by stepping off the island and taking an uncomfortable step and venturing to the unknown and coming out this way and establishing yourself. So that's very good. And that's the same thing my parents did. And they are both from Western. I want to slap Fatu for thinking I'd be confused between Western and American Samoa. I'm not from either one. I know the difference. But they worked so hard, and they were always, they seemed comfortable to me. That was the luxury I had in being their kid. But they were very uncomfortable as they were easing into this new life. And I didn't recognize it back then. There's a lot of examples in our lives of people grinding through the uncomfortable territory and going through all their adversities and obstacles. I kind of hate that I didn't recognize it until later in life with my parents, and also all the examples that I had all around me, my aunts, uncles, leadership in the military, and just mentors that I've had throughout life. So what I want to know is, who are some of the examples for you guys that, without noticing, you just inherited their will, their perseverance, the willingness to just be comfortable being uncomfortable?
So my parents are not originally from American Samoa. When tracing my father's line, their family is from Fujian, China, and they immigrated to Malaysia. And then my father, he was born and raised in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And then he immigrated to American Samoa. That's where he started his life. My mom's side, they've been in Falealupo, Savai. And my mom moved to American Samoa. So I feel like our parents, our grandparents, and our ancestors, they've always been trailblazers for us, because now we've moved to the United States and we've started our own families. And from there, we hope our kids will take advantage of the opportunities that they're given here in the United States that we've set forth for them. Hopefully our kids would know better, but again, we don't know. They might move to another country and start their own lives in that country. So for me, I think it was because of that aspect that my parents moved to another country to start another life. I kind of leaned on that aspect of being adventurous, going forth and starting my own life. Because when I was growing up in American Samoa, I didn't want my life to stay there, and I didn't want to grow up old and stay there and know nothing about life outside of American Samoa. I was very adventurous. I wanted to see the world, and I ended up seeing the world when I joined the military, and for that I'm glad. I'm grateful for the opportunity, especially for my parents. At first, they were my mom was very resistant of me leaving American Samoa. My father was always supportive, but I'm grateful for my mom for eventually giving me that blessing of going out to the world and starting my own life.
So for me, I would say a little bit of 50-50 in both my parents. I kind of get the grind from both of them, but more so my mom has a little bit of that edge that I kind of, the blood, it's more so because compared to my dad, my mom she's like a firecracker. She does things, it's like our moms. But my mom is like, she was born in Western Samoa, came to Tutuila, and she started grinding, going to school, working at the same time. My family, both sides, I would say, I don't know about all of us, but I'm speaking on my own side of the family. We kind of live below the poverty line growing up, and it's really hard to survive. So I know from my mom's side, she used to tell me stories, well, she still tells me stories now, that they used to have one big pot. Her family's a big family, and they used to have one big pot and maybe one can of pikaki or mackerel. You mix it up with coconut or juice, just a lot of juice. Just one pot, big pot, and tons of family. Everybody would share from that one pot. And there's like maybe 10 or 20 family, And she had to work and go to school at the same time growing up. And then when she met my dad, it's just like the grind was still there. A lot of jobs she couldn't hold in American Samoa because she was from Western Samoa growing up. So fortunately, she got married to my dad, and then she's still grinding even, through when, growing up, a lot of stuff that she couldn't do. She had to break a lot of barriers considering that she was from Western Samoa. So I would say I take after my mom a little bit because she takes a lot of the initiative, very initiative person. She doesn't wait for things to go her way. She has to find ways to get things done. Even in our family, both my mom or both her side and my dad's side of the family here in Sailele. And I kind of have that. I kind of have that edge where I don't have to wait for somebody to tell me what to do, or I kind of find answers on my own, so to speak, and try. If the answer is not there and I'm not even satisfied with that answer, I'll try to go find another answer. Just to try to get different opinions and different ways to do things instead of just one. That's that level of comfortability. Like, I'm not comfortable with one answer. I need to have a lot of answers in order for me to really make my decision in a lot of things like that. And it's kind of like my mom, and I really take that after her a little bit. For my dad, fortunately, my dad was injured. He had a big traumatic brain injury in 1990, and this was a big fight that happened back in the day. Luckily, My dad survived during that time. There was a doctor that visited American Samoa. It was a surgeon. His name was Dr. Vineyard. He was the one that actually saved my dad. And i.e., the reason why now my brother is named Vineyard. So our names, my siblings, our names start with the letter A. And only Vineyard, my second brother, his name starts with V because it's reminding the doctor that saved my dad. So majority half of his brain was pretty much not there because of somebody threw a rock at him, busted the left side of his brain. And then luckily that surgeon was there back in the 90s and my dad survived. But during that time, all the way till maybe 2000, 2004, my mom was pretty much the one that was holding it down for us. You know, everything from Fala Vilaves, taking care of the household. She became the primary caretaker for not only us, but my dad during that time because he was bedridden for a little bit. So, yeah, it's kind of like where I take from is my mom for that matter. So,
I think for majority of us from back home, I think our parents are pretty much the reason why we are the way we are. Because I speak from it too, because I'm a living proof of it. More so my pops, for me. My mom was more of a, person that holds the household down. My pops, my God. That guy right there, whew, that's a different guy right there because he'll wake up, he starts at like 8 o'clock, maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock. But mind you, where I'm from, we have to hop on a boat, cross the Pacific Ocean, get to the mainland, and then catch a bus and go all the way downtown for work. So this is my dad. So he starts at, I would say, about 7:30 a.m. My pop will get up at 3:30 in the morning, shower, get some coffee. My mom will be up at the same time, iron his clothes. Sometimes I will wake up in the morning and chat with them, just kind of listening to their stories. And there's 7 of us. And with one income at the time, I don't know how my mom and my dad did it, but hey, kudos to them. And there's a saying my pops always tells us that whenever he doesn't have enough to give to his kids, he always says, the Lord will always provide. Just like that. And he believes in it then. I believe in it then, and I still believe it now. When adversity hits, that's all I ever say. And I always think about that, my dad. But the Lord will always provide. And then go back to what Ati brought up about the whole 1 can of mackerel to feed the whole village. It's the same thing for us, 7 of us. Sometimes mom has to be creative and proactive on how to feed kids. 1 can of corned beef and turn it into a gravy and big pot of rice or banana with coconut cream and stuff, and that's it. We didn't know then, I didn't know then, the struggle my parents had to go through, just trying to figure out what's the next meal going to be. Now, talk about pressure? No, that's pressure to me. What's the next meal going to be? How are my kids going to eat? So I started reading up on history about Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, when I was in 6th grade, 7th grade. Started reading about philosophers, about Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, come down to Alexander the Great. So these are the people from my personal experience as a kid that helped me mold me who I am right now. And I follow some of the philosophies. Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar are my biggest people that I always read about and follow. And the reason being is because they were kids when they started. They were mere kids when they started, but hey, they did it. Their name lasts a lot longer than they ever lived. And that's why I'm never comfortable, because I want to be that. I want to be that guy that, hey, there's just one kid who was in the automotive industry. Yeah. That's not something you hear a lot. You always hear about security or your football players. And I kind of like trailblaze my own way. Figure out, hey, if this kid from the other island can do this, you can do it too, or better.
On a side note, being comfortable is also not a bad thing, because ultimately each individual, each one of us we're trying to find our own happiness in life. My mom, for as long as I've known, she's always worked at the Starkist Cannery, and to this day, she's still working there. And I see that her overall happiness, she's happy, being comfortable, doing her regular job. going to church and going home. Same routine every single day that I see from her. And I see that she's happy. And I appreciate my dad because he was always hustling when we were little. My dad couldn't work the normal jobs that American Samoan residents could work because he was a immigrant. But now he's a permanent resident. My dad has always worked under the table, and I've always seen him hustle. And you would know that it was payday when he had a whole bundle of cash that he kept in his wallet. And I knew when and when not to ask for money, because you will see that throughout the week that bundle of cash that he kept in his pocket was waning. It was getting less and less. But I appreciate my dad's hustle because he was never really home. He started working from the morning until sundown, and yeah, I believe that's where I got my work ethics, is because he kept hustling, even though he didn't have a lot of opportunities, but he took advantage of whatever opportunity that was given to him, especially if he was employed because he's a chef by trade, but he was employed by Chinese restaurants and all that. But now he's just comfortable at home, being retired after that many years of just hustling and just taking care of our family. Because like you guys mentioned, we live under the poverty line back at home, and it wasn't easy, especially since there were 5 of us kids to take care of. And yeah, it's not an easy thing, especially since now we have our own kids. We realize the sacrifices that our parents have made for us.
Just to guide us a little bit, are you guys comfortable now in your current situation? Or is there an outlook of what you're trying to accomplish yet?
It's a no for me. I always believe that we Samoans are very smart people, man. I always say that to my customers because they always ask, how did you get in here? I said, definitely not by school, but I can tell you by my work ethics, and I can definitely tell you by my personality. I say where I'm from, what I have now, it's a lot more than my parents ever did their whole lives. It's not a lot to my parents. My parents, they're my role models, and they will always be my role model. But I feel like I can be so much better than myself. Last year, the person I'm chasing is like Matthew McConaughey said the other day when he did that speech. He's not trying to chase anybody but himself 5 years from now. It's the same concept for me. Like, who am I going to be in 5 years? I want to chase that person. Once I get it, next one. So that way I'm never satisfied. Honestly, it might take me 10 years to get where I want, but hey, that's fine. Maybe the next goal is going to be 5 years. Maybe the next goal is going to be 2 years. And that's just my mentality of it.
Yeah, I'm too comfortable at work and at home. That's why I'm trying to break that mold, trying to advance in my job, get paid more so that I can take care of my family better. And just like Ati said, health-wise, it's hard. You don't go to the gym for a long time, and then you start going, and then you feel these aches that you never felt before. Man, it's hard to try and break that mold. And then it's been an off and on journey for me for weight loss, and that's something that I'm trying to get out of.
I'm comfortable. No, but in my first 2 years here, I got promoted twice. I got a supervisor in 2 years. So there was that. But now I started to become comfortable, but which is wrong because you could always do better in my line of work because there's always a threat somewhere. And we need to stay on our toes always. But I have a new opportunity here that's going to help me learn and grow, which will keep me here a little while longer. But I still got that childhood dream of being a cop, but just starting over from the bottom and finding a new house and all that new environment is scary, but exciting. But that's, one uncomfortable situation I'm looking forward to in the future, possibly.
For me right now, I'm, like I said earlier, when you get too comfortable, you kind of let everything go. So I'm not comfortable with where I'm at right now, health-wise. But as far as everything else, career-wise, I'm not there yet. I still got a long way to go. I was on it for a little bit, 2017, 2019. Technically, you're supposed to, undergraduate, you're supposed to get it in 4 years. I was grinding from 17 to 19 and got my undergrad in 2 years. And then after that, kind of gave up a little bit, fell off the wagon because I picked up golf. But now I got to get back on the wagon and finish with my dreams. So right now, I'm not coasting. Hey, but I'm just by here talking to you guys. It's a motivating factor for me now to get back on it, get back on the horse and start grinding again. Because once we get comfortable, we get complacent and kind of forget about the things that we're supposed to, our dreams, things that we're supposed to try to strive for. All right. Thank you for tuning in to our episode of Behind the Lava Lava. A little disclaimer. I know I was supposed to say this in the beginning, but all our opinions are our own opinions. We don't want to say that we're all experts here or anything like that. We're just random, solis, just giving off our own opinions about the topics that, we want to discuss. So if you guys have any questions, just hit us up on Facebook, share, like, and comment, and hopefully to see you on our next episode.